Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, Food Friday here. We're talking with two experts on food here in Central Arkansas. Kevin Shalin with the Mighty Rib and Daniel Walker with Eat Arkansas. Kevin and Daniel, great to have you here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is my favorite segment because we get to talk food, not just food that you eat out at restaurants, but also good food that you can cook and see pictures of it on your blog and on your websites. But Kevin, you had a big New Year's Eve party, and I want you to tell folks about that because it's a great idea. You're a good cook, but you also incorporated food from local restaurants.
Yeah, this was my first big party to throw while living here in Little Rock. We've been living here a year and a half, and what I wanted to do with this party was not only incorporate some local vendors, but also complement it with my cooking. So we got some food from places like Butcher and Public, which is the new Travis McConnell charcuterie. Well, he doesn't have a place yet, but he was doing platters for private parties. So I contacted him. And we also had ice cream from Daniel's favorite place, Lob Lolly.
Lob Lolly.
They actually,
it was beautiful.
Yeah, Sally.
Push pops.
Sally's such a sweetheart. She actually made these little cute push pops that were gone in about 5 minutes. And we had hummus from Geek Eats. And what else did we have? We had Zara's Desserts, our friend Zara. She's like one of the best pastry chefs in town.
Cupcakes.
Yeah, we had cupcakes from
Mickey's, which is probably my favorite cupcake place, just down the road.
Down the road from here?
Yeah, have you been
there?
Oh,
yes,
Mickey's?
yes. It's
that
very
place
good.
Is awesome.
Yeah, it's very good. I've had cakes from there. Yes.
Very affordable, great cupcakes.
So yeah, we had a few places like that, and then I did the rest of the cooking. So I think it went over quite well. All the food was gone. So
that's a sign. That's a good sign.
And his food was as good. I'm not just saying this. His food was as good as any of the professionals, I'd have to say.
Really?
It was really good.
What was your specialty?
Well, I think his grilled Brussels sprouts were really well done. I think it was your wife who did the bacon wrapped dates. Is that right?
Yum.
Jeez, I ate probably 20 of those.
Those are good. They made those at the Women's Food Blogger contest.
Yes, they
bacon
did.
wrapped dates with cheese in it, goat cheese.
Yeah, hers were just dates and bacon, inspired by Tomas over at the pantry.
We should throw out a compliment to our friend Amy Bradley Hole. She makes this Italian garlic sauce that's fantastic, and I've got a jar at my house right now. I got her to bring me some. We'll hopefully get a story up on her pretty soon, but Kevin had that too, and she makes a really great Italian sauce. She's kind of starting to get into the business a little bit, so that was delightful.
And that's a good idea to mix some food from local restaurants so people can see what your favorite places are, as well as some of your home cooked specialties. And I want to encourage folks to you can see his work at themightyrib.com and also on Facebook, Mighty Rib. And you can see Daniel's work if you go to Arkansas Times, the Eat Arkansas section, or just go to Google and put in Eat Arkansas and you can find it.
The Google
will find it. Also, New Year's Day, did you do the traditional black-eyed peas and collards and cornbread? I know that probably based on what you said and the look in your face, it may have been a slow start.
It was a slow start. I've been battling a little bit of a cold, but I did not. I was so sick of being in the kitchen. I just sat on the couch and watched football all day and ate leftovers. There was some dips, things left over like that I had. So that's all I did. What about you, Daniel?
I didn't do much. I got called into work. It was kind of sad, so I had to go into work for a long time.
That's not good. I did do the whole black-eyed peas and the collards and the cornbread. And
now I will say that I watched Facebook and Twitter, and people were kind of in a panic because I think they thought Frankie's was going to be open New Year's Day, and I don't think it was, and that really kind of threw some people in a tizzy. So people were kind of racing to the store and trying to make their own black-eyed peas.
I had to go to Kroger twice the day before, and I was there when they had all of the black-eyed peas, but they were out of the cornbread mix. So I managed to scavenge all the black-eyed peas, and then I had to go to another store and back, and they were out of black-eyed peas, and you would have thought they run out of oxygen tanks. People were just beside themselves that there are no black-eyed peas.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with this tradition. I never even heard about it till I moved here.
Yes, and Jessica is the same way. Jessica's from Ohio, and she tried it. She tried what she could, but they do more of the sauerkraut, more that kind of thing from Ohio. So, but she has embraced the Southern tradition. But it was good. We're going to take a break. I want to come back and we're going to talk about some of the latest things you guys have on your websites and on your blogs and online. And you took a little road trip out to Scott and Keogh, went to one of my favorite places. This other place that you went to, I encourage folks to go to. But we're going to talk about some of the things you guys have on your website coming up with the food guys. We have Kevin Shalin and Daniel Walker. We'll take a break and we'll come back with more food right after this. Well, welcome back to the show, Talking Food here with Kevin Shalin, the Mighty Rib, and Daniel Walker with Eat Arkansas. You can get there by going to the Google and putting in Eat Arkansas and finding out all the latest places they have enjoyed and written about. One of them, the two of you recently went on a little road trip, went to Scott and Keogh. And one of the places, we'll talk first about where you went in Keogh, and you both loved it, Charlotte's Eats and Sweets. And so many times what you do is just write about the food and nice photos. But let me just read some of this poetry here we have from Daniel. This is about Charlotte's Eats and Sweets. And I quote, "It was one of the sexiest desserts I've ever beheld, a sugary centerfold I knew I must have."
Can you say that on the air? Okay.
FCC.
Yes, we can. When I first
Children.
set eyes on Charlotte's coconut cream pie, my heart skipped 3 beats. I almost called my cardiologist. You got some splaining to do.
There you go. You know, pie is a funny thing. There's a lot of pie in Arkansas. We're a southern state. People love it. There have been books written about pie. Everyone loves it. We had the pie party, did we not?
We did.
That was a lot
it was
of fun.
very good.
So
everyone
obviously
brought a pie.
everyone loves pie. But you know, it's interesting. There's no pie shop here in Little Rock. There's no one that's just doing pie. Obviously, there's decent pies around here. So we had heard about Charlotte's. It's a well-known place out in this little town called Keogh. We had them hold 3 slices of coconut cream pie, and man, it was just not only was it the sexiest dessert I've ever seen, it was one of the best pies. I would definitely say one of the best pies in Arkansas for sure. And it had this beautiful, like 6-inch meringue, lightly toasted on top, and the coconut custard was just chock full of sweet, chewy, delicious coconut, and they did it perfect. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a better coconut cream pie.
It does look good, and you write about this. Coconut is king at Charlotte's Eats and Sweet. It's a new dessert. You say all the kids are talking about. And what is it what else did they have there besides the coconut cream pie? I know that you love that.
Did they have anything else? I don't know.
I mean, they had a nice chocolate cream and their pecan pie, which I got to go later and ate it. It was fantastic. But the coconut cream was the showstopper. And you know what's one of the fun things about a spontaneous road trip? This road trip was inspired by our buddy Steve Schuler, who also went with us. And we weren't supposed to go to Keogh or Scott. We were supposed to go to Rhoda's down in Lake Village there, but they were closed for renovations. So we kind of had to, reevaluate and figure out what we wanted to do for a quick day trip, and that's how we ended up out in Charlotte or at Charlotte's.
And your thoughts on the coconut pie?
You know, I hate to throw out superlatives like this, but I'm kind of like Daniel. I'm not like a true pie connoisseur. I haven't had so many in my life to be an expert on it. But I will say that it was the best piece of pie I've ever had. I mean, that coconut cream was just amazing. Just the way he described it, it was special.
That sounds like worth the trip right there. That's Charlotte's Eats and Sweets there in Keogh. You also made a stop through Scott, and you stopped at one of my favorite places out there, Cotham's. And this is a great place. I've been going there many times for many years, Cotham's. And your favorite thing, Kevin, as many folks that go there, is the hubcap burger.
Well, this was my first time there. We had heard a lot about it. And, the thing is, we went there directly from the pie place. Daniel did not tell you that he had 2 pieces of pie at Charlotte's. I had 1. He crushed 2 pieces of pie. We got in the car, drove 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. and immediately tackled, each of us, all three of us tackled the hubcap burger. Daniel, you want to talk a little bit about that?
No,
experience?
I mean, if you've seen this burger, you know that it's not small. And, Kevin, bless his heart, has a fairly dainty stomach. And I could tell about halfway through this burger, he did not want to finish it. He started sweating and his eyes were glazing over. And I knew he didn't want to finish it. But he was giving me so much flack throughout the whole thing that I couldn't finish it, that I knew he was going to just power on and just force himself to eat it. And the poor guy, he was literally limping out of the restaurant. It was so much food. It was a behemoth of a burger.
Yeah, my body kind of went into shock because I tried to limit my beef intake, and I was stumbling out of there.
Well, let me just say this. If you're trying to limit your beef intake, you don't order a hubcap burger.
And
they call it a hubcap burger for a reason.
Alice, you can't sit there with two other guys that are good friends and not order it while they do. It's a challenge.
That's
I'm not
true.
going to back down.
It is. It's a manly challenge. Yeah. I used to, when I was a news reporter, whenever we would go out to the prison, we would make that trip down that road, and we would always stop and get a hubcap burger, and it is huge, and it is not the most healthy thing. But if you're out that way and you're in that, your car just automatically kind of pulls in the parking lot.
Well, I think the thing that we both, or all three of us, kind of agreed. I guess our friend Steve had been there before, but it was Kevin and I's first time, and we both agreed. Not only was it big, it's not just a novelty for size sake. It was actually a very good burger. They cooked it very well done. We ordered ours medium, nice and juicy. Great flavors. So I mean, I was expecting it not to be as great, and sometimes these things have become legendary are not always as great as people think they are, especially things that are huge or big. But we really enjoyed it.
And the thing about Cotham's, if you have not been, it's out there in Scott. It's been at that location, believe it or not, since 1917. It is an institution there, and it was an old general store in Scott for farmers and folks that had been working out there, and they started serving food, and the rest is history. And they have another location down in Little Rock, right there by the Capitol, which is the place for a lot of politicos go for lunch. But the place out in Scott has to be seen.
Absolutely, it was worth the drive. I'd do it again in a very slow heartbeat.
It sounds like your heartbeat slowed down a little bit after you ate the hubcap burger.
That's right.
There's another place downtown that a lot of folks, it's getting a lot of buzz. A lot of folks will be certainly going to. It's set to open on the 7th. Cash. It's one of the newest downtown restaurants. It's in the arcade building downtown. And Daniel, you've had a chance to step inside.
Yeah, Cash is going to be brought to us by a guy named Matt Cooper, who's been around the restaurant scene for a while. He did Lulav and the Chenal Country Club, and then a young, kind of fresh-faced chef, Payne Harding, son of Rush Harding.
Right.
A lot of people know around town. Man, this place is just a spectacle. It's beautiful inside. It's very large. It's one of the nicest looking restaurants I've seen. Not only in Little Rock, just period. I mean, it's got a great vibe to it. Very well done. Obviously, I haven't eaten there yet. They're doing private parties only. And we'll see how it goes. I think this place has a lot to prove. I mean, they've got, some relatively unknown people in the kitchen, but, there's definitely a lot of money went into this place, and I'm hoping that we get a great new addition to Little Rock. I mean, if the food can live up to the atmosphere, then we'll have, something really special on our hands. And
that's what they've done a great deal, inviting different journalists and folks, food critics out there to take a look at it. My view, Matt Cooper used to be at Chenal and Lulav. Is a great chef and great cook, and I think he will certainly deliver. And that's the thing when you start out new, you only get one chance to make a first impression, and anxious to see how that plays out as they open up. So high hopes for that place.
I hope it turns out well.
And I want to go back to one thing that I want to get your follow-up on this. We recently had you on to talk about this, Kevin, the top restaurant pet peeves. And I want to see if you've had any feedback on that. You wrote a top 10 list of the pet peeves, just talking about different things when you go into a restaurant, about if it's cold, people bringing their kids in there, tips and that kind of thing. What kind of feedback have you gotten on your top 10 list there?
Got a lot of feedback. That was the piece I wrote for Bourbon and Boots, and about a week after that went live, I got a lot of contact from people in the restaurant industry saying, you need our side of the story. And I said, hey, that's one of the things that drives my blog, The Mighty Rib, is that interaction and the feedback and people giving me ideas, and I'm all for it. And someone who will remain anonymous in the restaurant industry contacted me and said, I've got a post, I can write it. I'm like, it's all yours. And that person wrote it. I think they did a fantastic job going through the pet peeves from someone who worked in the restaurant industry for many, many years. And that really hit home with a lot of people as well.
And that's the interesting thing with your post. It was looking at from the aspect of, you can see it, as you said, in Bourbon and Boots, written from a diner's perspective about things that are aggravating. One, and I agree with this, when you especially when you have like sweet tea and it's just the way you want it, they come and put tea in it and messes it all up. But hearing it from the wait staff standpoint is interesting, because they view things obviously completely from the other side. What kind of feedback? I know who you're talking about. I know who wrote that piece, but what kind of things did they have to say from the waiter standpoint?
They talked about how basically I believe they get your kids under control, because that's not easy to deal with. My favorite was the verbal tip, which I can't relate to. I've never worked in the restaurant industry, and that's why I got a little flack about writing the piece from my perspective. But complimenting you do such a wonderful job. It's fantastic. And then you leave like 5% of the tip. So that was one that really I got a kick out of. I thought it was it's not really funny, because they're not getting their money that they deserve. But I thought that was an interesting one that was brought up.
And that's the thing, is oftentimes, I waited tables for many years, and sometimes the folks that run you around the restaurant the most are the ones that aren't very great.
I don't know how they do it. I don't have the patience. I'd probably be a waiter for about 2 days and start screaming and running out of the restaurant. But we need these people. They're very important to the industry, and most of them, especially in Little Rock, the service is really fantastic for the most part. I've rarely walked out of a restaurant saying, "Gosh, this needs improvement." So.
But he is Kevin Shalin. He's like the most recognizable face in Little Rock.
The Kevin Shalin. Well, I want to ask you, you guys just typically plan trips and road trips. This most recent one, you went to Scott and Keogh. What's next on your agenda? Who do you plan to hit on next?
So we've got one that I'm really excited about. We're going to go out to Marianna, just kind of southwest of Memphis, and we are going to go to Jones Barbecue, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's one of the few Beard awarded establishments here in Arkansas. I don't know how it got a Beard award, and that's what we're going to go find out. And then on the way back, we're going to go through Duval's Bluff, and we've been there before, but
Craig's.
We're going to, we might go to Craig's, but we're definitely going to do Mary's Pie Shop.
Right.
And we're going to do Lena's Fried Pie Shop, and it is going to be just a sugary coma, but we are very excited with that.
And then in April, we've got Kansas City coming
That's
up.
true. That's going to be a big one.
Oh, that'll be great. If you do get Craig's, make sure you get the slaw on it, because they put apple in it. It's so good. All right. Well, I appreciate both of you guys coming in. Make sure you go to the Google, put in Eat Arkansas. You can see all of Daniel Walker's work, and themightyrib.com. You can see Kevin Shalin's work. Kevin and Daniel, thank you so much, and look forward to reading all of the rest of your food travels and journeys. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.